wonder if people are scared to approach you because of those two characters.
One woman came up to me. I was in the airport and she was so intense. And she said, I know you. I know you. And I know where this was going. I thought, well, I'll just help her. I'll just say, yeah, it's the Handmaid's Tale. But she didn't seem to want anybody coming close to her. So I thought, okay, let's just stay clear. Next thing you know, we're on the escalator together and she's facing me. In other words, going down backwards. Then she said, I know who you are. I know. She got down to the bottom of the escalator and she ran. And I thought, that is hysterical. I'm more of a softie, I would say. I don't have any desire to scare the bejesus out of anybody.
Hello and welcome to Obsessed the Podcast. I'm Matt Wilstein from The Daily Beast, and today on the show, I could not be more thrilled to welcome an actress whose work I have admired for so long. With 120 acting credits to her name, she is probably best known for playing the terrifying Aunt Lydia in The Handmaid's Tale, and has now returned to that role for the sequel series, The Testaments, currently streaming on Hulu. Ann Dowd, welcome to Obsessed the Podcast.
Why, thank you so much, Matt. What a pleasure.
I'm so glad to have you here. I really could not wait to talk to you after watching this latest episode of The Testaments, a show that I'm absolutely adoring. It's called Stadium. And we finally learn exactly how your character, Aunt Lydia, came to have this unique role in Gilead. We learn a lot about her in this episode.
I know it was incredibly helpful in coming to know a character I'd already known for how long? 6 seasons, to experience the stadium. And funny, I would say to the director, I couldn't spend one night here. If I was told everything else in my life had been destroyed and this is where I'm staying, I would have gone mad. Just the need to survive, and why she goes to such extremes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so just for anyone maybe who hasn't seen it yet, the premise is that we're getting this flashback to Lydia before she became part of Gilead and part of this whole system. We knew she was a teacher because there was a similar kind of flashback episode during The Handmaid's Tale, but we're really learning that moment of when everything changed and she's brought into this stadium with all these other women that they are trying to figure out what to do with. And it's just a very disturbing scenario that she's placed in. What was your reaction when you read the script to this episode?
Oh my gosh, I was stunned by it and deeply grateful because boy, did it answer some questions. And then to be able to experience it and to be out there in that stadium and everything right there in front of you, it was amazing. I don't know if I'm describing it in any way that's helpful, but I was so thrilled to do it. Thrilled.
What were some of the biggest holes that it filled in for you about who this woman was before we meet her in The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, I just a little bit when they're in the office in the school and she's putting down Vidala, just some snarky response to her about her and not getting the coffee and so on. And then when you realize when she's with oh God, I get the Judd, Commander Judd, and she starts just thinking, not only how am I going to survive, but I don't want to be aunt number 5. I want to be aunt number 1. And so I've got to find a way to impress him and let him know that he doesn't need to be in charge of the women. No, a woman needs to be in charge of the women. And so she just showing me what she did to get there, amazing, and what she had to do to stay alive, and move up into aunt territory as to put the gun in Vidala's, and I don't want to give it away. Or will I be doing that?
No, hopefully people at least will have had a chance to watch it. But yeah, we don't need to give it all away, but there's this shocking moment where she is handed a gun and asked to kill, right sort of the beginning of when everything is changing. And it is so hard to imagine being put in that scenario. I mean, so that must have been something you were thinking about. What would I do if I was in this?
Exactly. What would I do? I honestly, I don't have the answer. I would like to think I wouldn't be able to pull the trigger. No way.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
but what you learn something about the character, how she becomes Aunt Lydia. Just the fact that she wants to live and she's going to shoot. If she has to shoot her colleague, she's going to do it. That's just, wow. What a thing to learn about a character.
Yeah. So I think one of the big tensions of this show and this character that you've now played for so long is Aunt Lydia is a villain in a lot of ways, but we slowly learn more about her. We slowly learn how somebody who is human could become so inhuman throughout a lot of the show. How do you view her? Is she a villain? Do you think of her differently now than you did maybe when you first started playing her?
I never thought of her as a villain. One of the, if I may say, rules about acting, the first one is no judging, no judgment. So to me, she's not a villain. She's not doing horrible things. And she's not an evil person. My job is to focus on what is it that she wants? What is she doing? What's in her way? What is she going to do to get what she wants? Those are the basic acting questions. And her love for those girls, it doesn't look like love, but the way she sees them, these these young women, the language they use, the fact that they live with their boyfriends and they're not married, they have no relationship with God whatsoever. I am going to have to make some changes in them right now, and this is how we're going to do it. And she takes it to the limit. I think the one mistake she made, if I may say, and I believe she would think so also, when you're teaching, you don't respond emotionally. You've got to take a breath before you do so, before you make a choice. And I think when Janine was using the language and she just kept using the word that she knew was not okay, Lydia just snapped and went and took her eye out. And I think there's regret there because that you can't go back from that. And I think from that moment on, she held herself responsible for Janine and gradually loves her in a way that a mother loves a daughter. And it changes Lydia. When love comes into the picture, the wall that surrounds a person begins to crumble because love is stronger than that. And I think that's how Lydia evolves over those years and steps away from those fierce choices, if that makes any sense, Matt.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think she sees herself as a protector of these girls, of these young women, and especially in this new show in the Testaments, where they're even younger than some of the women that she was dealing with
Yeah.
previously. So, does she feel more that way to you in this new iteration, more of a protector from the men, and she's sort of doing the best that she can in this horrible situation that they've all been placed in?
Well, we see her at the end of The Handmaid's Tale, literally on her knees, begging for forgiveness. And June Osborne just goes through the list. This is who you are, and this is what you had done. And instead of saying, no way, and you have no right to tell me, Lydia accepts it and owns it and says, yes, this is who I am right now. And I think the fact that she allows herself to sit with that level of despair and wishing for forgiveness, I think she gradually, because we say there's about a 5-year period between Handmaids and the Testaments, 3, 4, 5 years. She sits with it, and I think she changes as a person. And her approach now is gentler, I believe, and softer. And the other thing is, these girls that she's dealing with, the daughters of high commanders, they don't know any other life. They're not against what's happening. They can't wait for their turn to get their period, and then they're eligible for marriage, if you can believe it, at age 13. And the other girls are the Pearl girls who have been recruited, but they were not forced to come. They came of their own will. So she's dealing with a whole different population, if you will. And I think that kind of fierceness is not a requirement here.
This show is coming barely a year after The Handmaid's Tale ended. Did you have any hesitation to jump right back into this very dark world of this show and continue playing this character when the opportunity came up?
No, I love her and I respect her, and I feel deeply grateful for the chance to come to know her even
Mhm,
more. That's
mhm.
honestly how I feel.
What did you think when you first saw the statue of yourself that appears in the main hall of
I
this
mean,
school?
can you imagine? I don't even know how to respond. I remember when before they made it, or as they were preparing to make it, they took many photographs of me, many tiny little photographs. But I was thinking to myself, the statue's going to be made of stone. It's not going to look like me at all. Well, sure enough, it does. And I have a little hunch in my back. And I think, oh my goodness, what does one do with a statue like that?
Yeah, I like how it's kind of a yeah, it's kind of a fake out at the beginning of the series too, because you almost for a minute you go, "Oh, is she not with us anymore?" Because usually you don't see statues of living people, but then
And
you
she
walk right
makes
into
that
frame and
comment.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
I
so
love that.
funny, yes, and they leave gifts for her, so it's very sweet. You know, the oranges and the lemons and the this and the that.
This show from its launch, it started in 2017. I know you were filming it in 2016. It's always had these very eerie parallels to this time that we're living through in the Trump era. Now the new series is launching now that he's back in power. Um, I'm just curious how working on it over this decade now has made you think about politics. Has it made you think differently about anything? Has it sort of given you insight into things that we're going through as a society?
It's a great, honor to have young women go out as handmaids and protest.
Mm, right. Yeah, that's been going on since really the beginning of when you started.
And it's extraordinary to realize this show is leaving our living room and going to the streets. And it's a reminder, stay alert, stay aware, put your phone down, speak up. If you have something to say, go out into the street and say it. If you want to protest, do so. No one's going to do it for you. It's that kind of um, feeling after a while. You just think, okay, let me at it. I can do this. I can go there. I can do this.
Were there ever any storylines or things where you kind of couldn't believe that the show had predicted or even Margaret Atwood had predicted what we're going through in this country?
It's interesting. She's an extraordinary, as you know, woman. Her mind is. I just did a discussion with her at Holy Cross College, and her answers to the questions were absolutely remarkable. Um, I'm sorry you asked me something, Matt, and I've now forgotten.
W Well, was there a moment or a scene or something that you did on the show that you couldn't believe kind of predicted what would happen in real life? Because I know there have been a lot of those kind of things where it did feel so similar to what was happening.
Well, I remember, I don't know about a specific scene but I remember Margaret saying that everything that happens in The Handmaid's Tale has happened somewhere in this world. And wrap your head around that if you can. It's extraordinary. And I remember when, in the beginning, when Trump was elected, it was just like, how can this possibly happen? And I remember writing to Lizzie, and I said, what are we going to do? And she wrote back, don't let the bastards grind you down.
Yeah, which is the line from the show, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Margaret would say she looked to history. She's not predicting. She looked to history for her choices.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see Elizabeth Moss come back to this show, which nobody really knew was gonna happen until that first episode dropped. I don't believe that, you have too much interaction with her in this season at least, but is that something that you are, looking forward to at some point?
Yeah, not in this. I would say in this season. You'll have to wait to see. But I think that where you're seeing her is a very strong position for her to be in.
Yeah, it is, interesting thinking about how Lydia must know that it's her daughter Hannah, who's in the show. Yeah, but has a different name now. And um, so how does that, do you think, affect how she interacts with that character and their relationship on the show?
I think Lydia has her eye on Agnes all the time, just seeing how she doing, where's she going, what does she want. There's a protective sense, I believe, and just it's just the thing about Lydia that I'm learning in the Testaments is how aware she is of everything that happens. Nothing gets by her. And I think her decision to write things down and to have a place to put that, I'm so excited about where this can go. Um, you know, uh, and I think with Agnes, she just is always has the eye on her, and always will. I think her feelings about June Osborne are complicated, but I think at the end of the day, she loves June Osborne. And I know she has profound respect for June, for the strong, extraordinary woman she is.
So, we mentioned you have a ton of acting credits in your career, but this is now a character that you've played for a decade. What how has that been different for you to sort of really dig into a character in a way that I don't think I mean, there's no one else that you've played for this long or spent this much time with?
Over time, you learn more about her. It's just an extraordinary gift that keeps on giving, if you'll pardon the phrase. And what I learn about her and seeing her in the Testaments, shifting her way of dealing with things, um, the way she speaks to the girls. The thing about 7 seasons is you learn something more each season, and you become more comfortable with her each season. And what's really I'm extremely fortunate that I love her, and I trust her, and I think she has a lot to say and do, and I'm learning it, and I'm intensely grateful for it, I'll tell you.
What do you think is the biggest thing that you have in common with Aunt Lydia, and what is the biggest difference between you and this character?
Well, I love her, what she taught me actually about a work ethic, which reminds me of how I was educated as a young student by Catholic sisters. And when I was trying to think of tell me, who is Lydia? How can I relate to Lydia? And I thought about my early education and the way the sisters were not ever cruel. None of that ever went on. But they would say that you are not special. You have a job to do. Do it to its completion, period. No one else is going to do it for you. And I remember going down to play basketball at the end after school, having a wonderful time, and Mother Claude coming to the door with her finger like this, saying, "Come with me." And then she would say, "Why do you think I pulled you out?" "Because my job wasn't done to completion." "That is correct. Follow me." And up we'd go, and we go, and there'd be a little bit of dust or a little bit of dirt, tiny. She'd say, "What is that?" And I'd say that it's dirt. "And why is it there?" And she would make sure that I completed that job and it was done and that was it. And learning that work ethic, I think is very true for Lydia, for those girls. You're not special. Don't think for 1 minute you're above anybody else, because you are not. And I will make sure you learn that. So I love that about her, and I appreciate being reminded of that, because it had been a while since grammar school, and I appreciated that. Some of the choices she made, I don't believe I would have gone to those to acted in that way. It's too intense. I'm more of a softie, I would say. I don't have any desire to scare the bejesus out of anybody, and uh, uh,
Something you're asked to do a lot, in your career, over the last several years.
but here's the other thing. People have asked, how do you do it? And in the beginning, they'd say, is it really hard to get into her state of mind? And does it take you a long time to get out of it? And my real answer was, I can't get there fast enough. It's a wonderful role to play. And the thing is, we don't go home with the consequences. You know what I mean? Actors, we don't. At the end of the day, when you've worked hard and the scenes are connected and you've got the work done and you've made contact with the character, there's nothing like it. It's bliss. And then you let go, see you tomorrow, and home you go. And it's a wonderful experience. It really is. And she's so intense that you really, at the end of the day, you feel the strength of her. And it's a fantastic feeling. Really grateful.
So I wanna run through some of your other roles that I've loved you in over the years, just to get some quick remembrances. One of your earliest films was, a very successful, award-winning movie, Philadelphia. I think one of your earliest film roles. When you think about that, because I know you were so early in your career, what stands out in your mind about working on that movie?
Oh, I know I was very scared because it really was so early and I didn't have a lot, barely any experience whatsoever with film. And Jonathan Demme was an incredible director, incredibly kind and devoted person. My first child was 6 months old. He's now 34, and that's how long ago that was. And I remember being prepared and really grateful to be in it, wanting to do well, and just trying to, watch, look around, and just learn from your experience. I loved doing that. I could tell you that I was definitely scared, but he was very, very clear on what he was looking for. Very clear.
This is jumping way ahead because I think I saw Philadelphia much later, but the first thing that I really remember seeing you in on TV was Freaks and Geeks in that
Oh,
great
I
role
love Freaks and Geeks. That's the best.
as Busy Phillips' character's mom, Kim Kelly's mom. Great character. What was the experience like of going on that show?
It was fantastic. They're a great, great group of people, and they're all, I mean, they're not now, but they were then, very young. It was unbelievable how young and smart they were. And so it was a complete blast, and the other actors, oh, they were really, really wonderful. I loved them. I enjoyed it immensely. Really, it's a special place in my heart, Freaks and Geeks.
Then, of course, there was The Leftovers, which came before The Handmaid's Tale, which was sort of a more maybe underrated show at this point, but is one of my favorites of all time. I thought it was a fantastic show.
I
Um,
agree with you. I agree with you.
and you had such a terrifying character on that show as well. What is there a story behind getting cast in that role and how you kind of figured out who that person was going to be? This really dark character.
When I first read the script, I said, "Oh, great, a character that doesn't speak. This is gonna be fun." And I wasn't into it, at first. I thought, what's what are you gonna do with that?"
She wears all white and chain smokes, I think.
Yes, and, doesn't talk and writes what she wants to say. And so, when I first auditioned, of course, I wanted to do well. And as I finished the audition, I remember thinking, "Wow, this could be something. I mean, this is powerful." And then you realize over time that not speaking is an incredibly powerful place because people don't know what to do. They are looking to you for direction. And I really learned uh, how powerful staying silent is, and then writing what tell me that I just it was a wonderful experience, um, and the more I did it, the more I loved it. It just made more and more sense, and the way our beautiful writer would just take us on journeys, and you just didn't know where you were going, but you trusted every bit of it. Yeah, oh my gosh.
I know you've talked about that you maybe haven't done quite as much comedy as you would like in your career, but you have done a couple that I wanted to touch on. One is this one great scene on Girls with Lena Dunham playing sort of a college administrator. Is that what your character was? I think, uh, and having this really frank conversation with her. So, what do you remember about that?
I remember, well, I keep saying the same things. Loved it. I had such respect for Lena and that show. I thought she is a powerhouse, boy. And then to be invited on, I just thought, "You're kidding. Can I do this? Help." And again, people just so open and kind and fun. Um, that's the thing. It was just really enjoyable. I could have stayed for a week and enjoyed it immensely. That was really great.
And then you just did one more really funny one scene on Hacks, where you get to have this ridiculous costume where you're sort of dressed as a blue alien or something, and you're talking to Gene Smart's character Deborah at this convention. I loved seeing you in that because it was felt like such a different kind of thing for you as
I
well.
know that's how it felt.
Did that feel like it was outside of your comfort zone?
Well, when I first read it, I thought, What? What?" And then I thought, "Just take a breath in and read it again." And then I read it, and I thought it was just and odd that she was kind of an odd creature, a little bit of a loner, and I loved it. And it did make sense. And then when I saw how I was gonna look, oh my god, it was just hysterical. The blue face, the antenna,
Yeah,
what?
that must have been nice to kind of break out of the Aunt Lydia costume for something very different.
Yeah, I should say. From yeah, and I don't know. It just Jean Smart is just fantastic. She's very focused, very lovely person, wonderful actress, as we all know. And it was just, I was wildly grateful for that. Definitely.
Uh, when you think about the night that you won the Emmy Award for The Handmaid's Tale, which was incredible, and congratulations again. What stands out in your mind? Is there a story from that night that you won't forget?
Oh, the whole event, my God, the honor of it. I was so blown away. I just didn't expect it. And so when when they called my name, and I just sat there, I thought, you're kidding. And I remember my husband saying, "You have to stand up." And so I stood up, and then I didn't know where to go or what to do, and he said, "You have to walk." So I remember just, and I felt such, oh my God, the feeling, it's just incredible. You want to thank people so much because it feels like such an incredible honor. And you just wanna say thank you. It was really just a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I'll never forget it, and I'll never take it for granted.
I want to run through some more questions here, just sort of reflections looking back. Is there a surprising thing that people recognize you from or wanna talk to you about, or, something, strange that people come up to you, when they recognize you and react in some way?
Well, I would say it's usually The Handmaid's Tale, so it's Lydia. That's usually, the leftovers, Patty. People, that those are the 2 most common. Um,
I wonder if people are scared to approach you because of those 2 characters.
oh, isn't that funny? Well, like, one woman came up to me. I was in the airport, and she was so, I don't know how focused, and she was so intense, and she said, "I know you. I know you." And I know where this was going. I thought, well, I'll just help her. I'll just say, "Yeah, it's The Handmaid's Tale." But she didn't seem to want anybody coming close to her, so I thought, "Okay, let's just stay clear." Next thing you know, we're on the escalator together, and she's facing me. In other words, going down backwards. And then she said, "I know who you are. I know." And then she got down to the bottom of the escalator and she ran, just completely ran. And I thought, that is hysterical. That poor woman, I don't know what she thought I was going to do, but it made me laugh.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's a, testament to your acting right there, right? That she could be that scared of you in real life.
I don't know what it is, but it was really, she was great.
When you look back, is there something that you said no to in the moment that you now wish you could go back and say yes to?
I almost, in my mind, said no to the leftovers. And I kind of said something to my manager and agent, who are the best ever. I said, "I just don't get it. I mean, she doesn't talk, blah, blah, blah." And they took a beat. They're probably thinking, "What is wrong with her? How is it possible that she doesn't?" So they just went to the most obvious thing, and they said, "Well, it's a series shooting in New York." In, like, subtext, "Get over yourself, girl, right now." So then I thought about it and I thought, "Okay." And then I auditioned and I started to get very attached to her. And I remember, um, after the first season, she dies at the end of the season.
And very gruesomely, if I recall.
Yes, yes. And I thought, "Oh no, I don't want to leave this series. I love it so, so much." And then getting to come back again. Oh my gosh. Oh, to think I ever wondered about that show. It was such an experience. Oh, unlike anything else.
The flip side of that question is there anything that you said yes to that you wish you could go back and say no to?
Well, nothing is standing out that way. Because the impulse when you get a role is to turn it into something you can understand and attach to. You know what I mean? You have to start the little love story, no matter what the feeling is in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think I got better at that as time went on. I'm sure there were some that I wasn't as excited to do, but, again, realizing every role is a gift.
You've been in, so many scenes with so many incredible actors. Who's the who's the actor who just impressed you the most when you were acting opposite them in a scene?
Oh gosh, so many, hun. There was just so many of them. Um, Oh my God, a name is not coming to me as well. I would say Jean Smart. I mean, the most recent. You just realize, oh my God, here she is, completely focused and ready to shoot, and just I just actors who are ready to go and who take that moment of quiet. All the actors in Mass knocked me out. Every one of them. I thought they were phenomenal. And getting to be with them and act with them, I'll never forget. Never ever.
The question I like to end on is there a story or memory from your career that makes you laugh now, but really was not funny when it happened?
Well, I go way, way back. Now this is like can I go back to college?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Playing a role in college, which I loved. Okay. Don't even ask me what it is because the name will not come. But I was scared and it made me, one of the ways it affected me was to make me nauseous. So I used to have like a bowl standing outside the off stage as if I was going to throw up in that, you know what I'm saying? And I look back and I laugh and I think, honey, you were fine. Take a few deep breaths. What was that all about? What's that nonsense of having to have a bowl there? Oh my gosh.
Have those nerves, have those nerves gone away over time?
Oh no, they're worse. No, those don't I don't worry about throwing up, I'll tell you that. That's not something that occupies my mind. But, anxiety about, will I get it right? Will I know her well enough? Do I deserve to play this role? Can I do it? That always, and it's the same with Lydia in the way she's evolving. Can I learn from her and meet her in the middle and go forward like that? Yeah, yeah, anxiety.
I will say that I've been watching you as Aunt Lydia for over all of the seasons of Handmaid's Tale and now The Testaments, and I don't think there's been a false note the entire time. So
Oh,
I
thank
really
you.
adore your performance on that show and a lot of other things that you've done. So I really appreciate you doing this and talking with me today.
Thank you, Matt.
The Testaments is streaming now on Hulu with new episodes dropping every Wednesday. Ann Dowd, thank you so much for being here.
What a pleasure. Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Oh my God, what a fun time talking with Ann Dowd today on the show. I love her so much on The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments, and I just love seeing how different she is from that character she's been playing now for a decade. So I hope you enjoyed that episode as well. And if you did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Obsessed channel. We want to hear from you. Please leave comments on this video and others. Let us know what you think about the show. You can also leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and please follow us there as well. Thank you to our producers, Rachel Passer and Devin Rogerino, and we'll be back with an all-new episode of Obsessed the Podcast very soon.